I'm Mr. Bizey, and I'm back again to talk about how to play the violin. Previously, I've talked about how to hold your instrument, how to hold your bow. Today, we're going to talk more about actually playing the instrument. I know this is what you've always wanted, right? You're like, hold the instrument this way. Can't I just put the bow on the instrument? All that sort of stuff. Now, there's a lot of elementary teachers out there for beginning stuff that will talk about when you first start to play that you pluck only. You don't actually use the bow. I'm not going to do that here. I'll talk a little bit about pizzicato in a bit, but right now I'm just going to talk about using the actual bow because if you're watching this, you're either watching this to help review and help yourself with your classes, or if you're an adult, you're trying to push yourself forward. If you're an adult, you don't need all that time with the pizzicato work. You can get right to the bow and you can learn it. If you're a kid and you're doing the pizzicato work, this is going to be staggered quite a bit. And I don't want you to ever think of these tutorials as like, okay, I did this, now I'm going to go into this. You should be doing more than that. I mean, private teachers are one of the best things if you're in an orchestra, but you need somebody to listen to you, to let you know and give you feedback if you're doing things right. I can tell you how it's supposed to do, but that doesn't mean that you can see what you're doing or hear what you're doing and make sure that you know you're doing the exact right thing. Sometimes we hear things better than we actually do them, so it's a really good idea to have somebody else at least listening to you and giving you feedback. And that's not just your friend. It should be somebody who knows what they're doing too. Anyway, let's talk about playing the instrument. Yay, okay. So I talked earlier about there are strings on the instrument. Imagine that, it's a stringed instrument. It has 4 strings, unlike a guitar that could have 6 strings. We have 4 strings. On the violin, we have the G, that's our lowest string, the D, the A, and the E, which is our highest string. If I play those, we have G, D, A, and E. Okay, and that's what they should sound like. My instrument is pretty much in tune. We'll have another show all about tuning for you later. But those are our strings. Now to just play those, I mean, you could take everything we've talked about. Set your bow grip. That's always the first thing you want to think of. Even really before putting up your instrument, set your bow grip. It's that important. Set your bow grip. Bent thumb, bent pinky. Okay, instrument up, 45 degrees between the front and the side. Chin over, okay, and you can play your strings. Just go with this with a down bow. That means you're moving your arm down, okay? So we have G, and D, and A, and E. And you got 4 notes. Just that easily, you can play those 4 notes. Now, you should be getting a good solid sound like that. If you're not, you may need more rosin. If it sounds really quiet, if it's not really seeming to make a whole lot of sound, it sounds whispery, you may need more rosin, and I'll talk about that later. But it should get you a good solid sound. Remember, you're putting the weight of your arm down into the string. You're not pushing on it, you're just putting the weight of your arm into it, and you pull, okay? Many of you are going to find down bows are easier than up bows. So this is a down bow, and then an up bow. And then I go to the D, down, up. Okay, so we have those 4 notes that we can use right now. Now you're probably like, well, I want to make more than 4 notes, right? You want to play Mary Had a Little Lamb or something to begin with. So your instrument may have come with tapes. It may have tapes on them already, something on the fingerboard. I've been playing this for 35 whatever years, and I don't need tapes. So I don't have tapes on my instruments. I know where to put my fingers at this point. So I'm going to show you approximately where your fingers go, but it's a really good idea if you're a beginner to get tapes on your instruments, have a teacher or somebody who really knows the instrument well put tapes on the instrument for you so you know right where to put your fingers. It will really help you out. So let's go ahead. I'm not going to talk about reading music at all today, just playing the instrument itself. I'll have another video that'll be all about how to read music and what fingers that corresponds and what notes that is, blah, 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 all that. Right now, we're just going to play the instrument, okay? So I'm going to start on the D string. It seems it's one of the easier places to start. When you go to the G, you're kind of lifting your elbow, kind of goes up a little bit. Or actually, most kids put their elbow up. They don't need to. You can actually drop it and still do this, more wrist movement. Anyway, we're going to go with D string. It's nice and comfortable right there. Okay, now we're going to do D and A, actually. Our basic finger pattern for right now, I'm going to set this, If you see where my fingers are, you notice my first finger, my index finger is my first finger. Piano players, this might be different from what you're used to. My first finger is not all the way back next to the nut. There's got space between it and the nut. There's space between my first and second finger. And right now, my second and third finger are right next to each other. This is called a half step. There's lots of other names that can be in there, but musically, this is a half step. We can talk about what exactly that is another day. But we have second and third finger right next to each other. We're going to do that pattern on both the D and A strings, which is really cool because we can do a D major scale based on that. So for that, we just start with the open D. First finger for E. Second finger for F sharp. And it is F sharp, not F. And then third finger for G. And G is right next to the F sharp. We go to open A. First finger for B. Second finger for C sharp. Third finger for D. So I said F sharp and C sharp in there. It is important that we call those F sharp and C sharp. They are not F and C. That would be like calling you by a different name than you really are. They are different names than those. Have they been modified from what that is? Yes, but it is a different. F sharp is not F. And that is such a key thing to remember. So that is just a D major scale and how to play it. Now, you're going to probably need a lot of work if you're a beginner to be able to play it like that. It's probably not going to sound exactly like that when you first start. If you have tapes, use them. If you don't have tapes, find somebody to help you to know exactly where to place your fingers. Unlike so many instruments out there that have specific keys, I can place, if I put, for example, I put my first finger here, I know that's an E. I've been playing this for a long time. I know what I'm doing. But I can put my first finger here. That's not an E, okay? Just because I put my first finger down does not make it an E. I can even put it... Oops. That's pretty high. It's higher than my next string, right? It's still not an E. That's an E, but anyway. So this, you need to make sure you're putting it in the right spot. You can use tuners if you want, but I really do recommend using the tapes. It helps you learn how to feel where to put your fingers, and eventually you get used to where your fingers go. So that's all we're covering today, is just how to put your fingers down to play a D major scale. Thank you for joining me today. There are other videos out there to help you learn to play the violin that I've got going. You can always check those out. I'm going to keep these going. So if you've reached this video and this is the last video you see of mine, don't worry, there are more coming. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you can join me again.